Happy Pastor Appreciation, Dad and Mom. I'm sitting at the desk of the greatest preacher that I know, who had the greatest impact on my life of anybody in the world. And April asked me to do this, so this is what I'm going to do. First I'm going to tell a funny story about my dad. My dad always struggled. We always had a hard time. Seemed like things didn't come easy for him, but in that he showed me his determination that he would go on. He wasn't a quitter. And that's the thing he's taught me in life. But Uncle Don and Dad were trucking over in near Red Ash, and Dad always took me with him. Well, I was just a little blonde-headed girl. I'd always come back from work with Dad with my hair full of coal dirt, so it would be brown and black and all different colors. But I remember one day in particular, Don was coming off one side of the hill, and Dad was coming off the other. And I said, "Dad, beat him, beat him." And he said, "I can't beat your Uncle Don. He's got a new truck." And I said, "Oh, Dad, you can beat him." I said, "Hurry up, beat him." He kept telling me that he couldn't. So we finally got to the bottom of the hill, and when we did, I could see Uncle Don was way out front. He had beat us. And I looked over at my dad driving that old red coal truck that said, "Truly God is good" on the front. And I said, "All right, Dad, I could outrun this old truck." And he said, "You could?" I said, "Yeah, just let me out." I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I said, "Let me out." He said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I could outrun this old truck. This old truck's awful. I could outrun this old truck." So he stopped, and I climbed down out of that truck, and he hollered at me. He said, "Now I'm going to give you head start." I said, "All right." So as hard as my little fat legs would go, I went flying down that. I mean, I was going at it, and I was way ahead of the truck. Then all of a sudden I heard Dad change gears, and I could hear that truck getting closer, and I was running as hard as I could, because I knew I could outrun that old truck. And lo and behold, out of the corner of my eye, I seen the grill of that truck that said, "Truly God is good," coming up beside of me. I run that much harder, and he went right past the little girl. I stopped dead, and he pulled up. He hollered at me, and I walked around, climbed back, and got in the truck, sit down with my arms crossed, and I pouted until he stopped and got me an ice cream. But you know, that old truck wasn't as good as Uncle Don's. But truly God was good, and it fed our family, and Dad never quit. He kept taking that old truck and taking care of me and Mom and Dana, and he was a wonderful dad, wonderful mom. Another story I'd like to tell is more serious. When Dad and Mom got saved, and I was really too small to hardly remember when Dad and Mom went saved, but one thing in particular is when we lived down in Doran, in the basement of that old house, there was a problem with rats because the river was at the back and stores all around, so there was a problem with rats. So many times I would hear Mom saying, "Over there it is, Ralph, over there it is," and I'd hear boing, 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 them fighting the rats. But the thing that was the greatest is those times to when I would be sound asleep, and all of a sudden I'd hear from the basement, not Dad chasing the rats and Mom telling him where they were, but that moaning prayer. And he would pray until that prayer and those moans would come up through in my bedroom. And I woke up many a time wanting to pray like my dad. And if I'd have been mean, I sure remembered it too. I prayed a lot about those things. And then Mom, she would be in the bathroom, and I'd hear those little feet. They'd just be pitter-patting in the bathroom where she would pray through. But I didn't know that Dad was praying about me being called to preach. And we went to Mama Boyd's to eat, and when we came back, we walked in the door, and Dad had been trying to take accordion lessons, and he was making me take piano lessons. I wasn't doing very good because, well, I didn't study. I didn't practice very much. Now, Dana, God give her all of the talents in the world. But anyway, besides all that, Dad was trying to learn to play the accordion, and I remember the guy telling him, said, "Mr. Horton, you can't play the accordion because that your fingers are too big." But he kept trying to play the accordion, and we'd go to church and sing. So we walked in that day from Mama Boyd's, and when we walked in, Dad was standing there. Tears was running off of his face, and he had that accordion in his hand, and he was playing the accordion. Mom ran up and grabbed him, and she said, "Ralph, what's the matter?" But there wasn't anything wrong with my dad. That was the day that God confirmed that he was called to preach, and I'm so proud of my dad and Mom. Dad, I love you. Mom, I love you. Happy Pastor Appreciation. And I'm glad you're still alive.